Hello, hello everyone. I would like to welcome everyone to this very special gathering. Uh, I'm honored to kick things off with you guys. I guess what I'd like to say first of all is it's been a journey. It's been a fabulous and fantastic and hectic journey to get to this point. And there's a number of people to thank for this journey. And as we move forward, we will do that. But I want to thank the panelists for being here. And I want to just say I would like to apologize to some degree that Donisha is not in as yet, and nor is Dennis Pavel, but I suspect they will join us in time. I want to introduce the panelists and just briefly hand thing over to Blakka after I've done that. For those of you who don't know, I'd like to just have a wave as I call your name, and Blakka will go through a little bit more of an introduction so that people who are checking in can just identify by face the panelists. So first, I'd like to have a wave to Samir. Samir, can you just wave so that we can identify you? Samir joining us from London, England. Samir has been very instrumental with directing the film with me, and it's a collaborative effort. We've also all cross-pollinated our credited roles, but it was required to get this thing released, and I just want to acknowledge that and say thank you very much, Samir. Uh, Left of Samir on my screen is the adorable Itah Sadu. We've known each other for a very long time. And of course, Itah is visiting with her mom in Vancouver. I've decided to join us and take some time out from mom. So we highly appreciate that. And to my right is Becca, top right. Becca Whitla. We've journeyed together in Toronto doing similar work and just being friends and extended family members along the way. And right behind her is a wonderful gentleman that I've honored and shared time and space with, Peter, who is like a sage in the background. So welcome, Peter. To her left is Blakka Ellis. Blakka, can you just wave for us? Uh, Blakka again is a amazing artist, writer, uh, educator, and been a part of this journey as well. And and to my left is, of course, the adorable Ayan, who is my daughter and tech support. And so I just want to welcome you. I want to welcome everyone to this conversation. Um, I've seen, Lisa, Miss Scarlett, Clive, who's not on screen at the moment, Dr. Marva. Wow, thank you very much for joining in. I think you're joining from Florida as well, and Nene Kafele. Yeah, you can just put your camera on and just wave for a minute. It's a community gathering and conversation, and don't feel that you need to mute your cameras. We are recording the session, so if you choose not to be present for that, that's fine. But even if you just pop in just for a minute, because it's family, it's a communication that we're having that I think is it's critical for all of us at this particular time. I feel very honored to have received the vibration and inspiration to write this piece. It has not necessarily been an easy trod to unearth this piece. It's been emotional and painful during the time, just looking at what has been happening globally. But as an artist, I feel a responsibility as an, verging into an elder in our community I feel the responsibility, and I know it very well. And I know that there have been elders and other people that have taken the responsibility and have marched forward and make very clear their position in life and the importance of raising certain issue as we journey collectively and individually. We have decided that, well, just a little bit of background for those of you who don't know. We wrote the piece from about August last year. We proceeded to record the piece, and took us about 3 months to do that. And then in October, we decided that we need to do a video for it. So from October last year, we've been working on the video for the piece, and finally unearth it this month for you. So it's been a journey. It's been an epic journey, and we are very pleased and happy to share that. In the midst of what's happening in the world, and contextualize our journey as African people, contextualize our journey in the midst of poetry and music and social commentary, and with the Marcus Garvey birthday that is happening in a couple of days. I think it's an apt time to have this conversation, and I just want to welcome you, and we will be taking some comments at certain point in the conversation. And at this point, I also want to acknowledge my brother Nene Kafele, and we've had many conversations about the piece and how we should facilitate the journey moving forward with this piece. So I want to thank you very much. At this point, we would like to just share the video to refresh our minds, and for those who have not seen it as yet, so that we can just refresh our minds to preempt and premise the conversation. Thank you very much.
Service announcement designed for critical thinking in every inch of public interest.
Let's face it. We all have stories unpacking global tragedies. Let's admit, we feel the frail and the elderly, our bodies and its general intel. We feel small businesses, our youth, and the promises of truth. Followed ill advice from a few who largely does not represent you. Fecundity is on its way. Children's development requires play. I feel it for those with little resources to cushion this blow. The impact and severity from a crumbling state and economy. And the story not done yet, so I powered down my phone, unpacking a few tragedies of my own. The hours grow darker in these ditches of disaster, and a mad rush for a prick. The meal tastes worse than the vomit, and the disease seems better than the cure. There's a hole in the mask and a crack in the glass. I do not submit. Brushes wrench from painter's wrist, attempting to teach without free speech. Let creativity breed. I see speed and submission to thrones of greed. You say hush, I say give me one reason to trust. grace and confidence say there is a better way. I do not submit. Don't lock me down any longer. I'm trying not to lose my bed. Desperation high, trying hard not to lose my head. So label this a minority's fringe view when truth confronts horror. When independence and objectivity won't trump personal desire. When subjects are well lit and shadows diffuse. When science and serpents reveals its truth. Is this a natural storm? Or someone changed the weather? Though we're in it together, I do not submit. So label it lunacy. This huge appetite for conflict and death. Label it lunacy. Cause I saw the algorithm set. Criminals have victims on trial, vax, pack, and vile. In a capitalist mecca. Where improvement doesn't always evidence better. And a crack in the glass. I do not submit. Is it compression, erection, or eradication? Is it compassion, destruction, or occupation? Is it cultivation of suicide and oppression, or an assault on civility, but in liberty? Modernity beguile in a sadistic twist. Real human don't behave like this. I do not submit. We melt in the ice, roll back the dice. Peel the skin from your grin. Monumental emergency, mass manipulation, mount falsification, immersed in blood. Hand over resignation. There is no great divide. So many people did not have to die. It is clear. Some people just don't care about preserving and protecting lives. To call this an attack on the lack of responsible management How is the alarmist trend and the silos of fear working for you? Geopolitical conquest. How do you do when the smoke is clear? There'll be less people here. Some people just don't care about protecting and preserving lives. There's a hole in the mask and a crack in the glass. I do not submit. You may not know it yet, but this is for you. Painfully inspiring, dramatic, tragic, and beautiful. Halting speeds in a sea of disaster. Summoning love, powered by number. Prescribing a soulful human upgrade, avoiding the raid. Citizens emerging stronger. Innovative ways, caring for self and others. This is a serious warning. Babylon is falling. You simply cannot lock me down any longer. If you or anyone you know experiencing post-traumatic symptoms after this, consult conscience. Pandemic or plandemic, we're there with it. Some people just don't care about preserving and protecting lives. There's a hole in the mask and a crack in the glass. I do not submit.
I do not submit. I do not submit. Greetings, beloved, one and all. How you all doing? My name is Owen Blakka Ellis, very good friend of Michael St. George and fellow artist. So, in the context of our understanding that prior to the rise of celebrity culture and its value implication, art and artists have always been not separate from the common concerns that affect humanity and the topical issues with which people globally engage. And art has always been, well, used to be and should be, perhaps I could submit. See what I did there? About critical reflection, raising consciousness, encouraging dialogue, not just about aesthetic titillation. Even when topics are unpopular and when ideas are even uncomfortable, that's the role of the artist, and that's the context within which we're now going to be invited to peek through the hole in the mask and peek through the crack in the glass and share ideas around this powerful piece of work by Michael St. George called I Do Not Submit. They have a wonderful panel who will share their views. They're going to share with those who are gathered on this global platform where people here from Australia, UK, Toronto, Vancouver, Jamaica. We're a global family. And we have Itah Sadu. I'm not sure if we have Dennis Bovell, but we have Samir Patel. We have Becca Whitla. I think we're missing Donisha Pendergast, right? So Itah, for those who don't know, and who don't know, should know that Itah is an award-winning author, storyteller, and owner of that very powerful space in Toronto called A Different Book List. Samir is a filmmaker, screenwriter, creative collaborator on several groundbreaking projects. And Becca Whitla is a scholar, educator, and musician whose work looks at liturgical community singing and looking at multicultural, multilingual, multi-ethnic approaches to music, and of course to unify as a practice between between practice and theory. And then, so I don't think we have Donisha and Denise, so we're gonna go with Becca. Oh, Donisha, there you go. Donisha Pendergast, writer, director, producer, actor, activist, global citizen. You know, this 80 baby who had the privilege of traveling with Ziggy Marley and the Melody Makers and seeing how reggae can touch the world and make an impact. So, Donisha, Becca, Samir, and Itah, welcome. I'm going to invite each of you as panelists to share a bit of who you are, where you stand, and how this work resonates with you, and how do you respond to the work as a starting point for the conversation. So let's start with Itah. You're muted, Itah.
I'm mute. Perfect. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. It's good that I was muted because I said several things prior to this. But greetings, everyone. And I am hailing you up from Vancouver, from Browse Mountain. So I'm big up. I'm touching the sky and kissing the sky at this time. So happy to be in this conversation on an elevated level. Enough respect to everyone who is on this panel and in this session. I want to say to Blakka specifically and to Michael St. George, enough respect on continuing this journey of the dub poetry movement international. You are griots and the keepers of that movement, and just pleased to see the continuance of that journey and of that movement in particular. And I must say, when Michael sent the clip, or Nene, big up to Nene, operating as elder in Ghana, connecting us in the diaspora. How beautiful technology is today. Like, booyah! Like, I'm on my cell phone and people are in their homes. And this is just such an awesome moment. But when Nene connected me and I got the video, I do not submit. I thought to myself, Lord Jesus, is 10 minutes long. But what a provocative title. And I was really, really pleased with what I saw. I like the fact that Michael said it was a public service announcement. That was kind of refreshing still. And Michael, I gotta tell you, you really got my attention when you apologized. And in the tradition of storytellers, of griots, some of the things that we do when we initially get into story, we either praise chant, or we give praises to who our hosts are, or whatever is happening. And at the same time, we also to relieve ourselves of things. So I like the fact that immediately you apologize. You apologize to youth, to young people, if we have failed them. It also caught my attention that you apologize for the lack of support oftentimes for small businesses. So as a small business person, you know, in that moment, I would say, go on, Michael, you really have my attention. I noticed in seriousness throughout the entire video performance, what came to me and struck me that I was experiencing a moment of Afro-futurism. I was experiencing a moment where I saw African philosophy, diasporic work, and technology fusing together. So that made me excited because the generations after me, the current generations now, are so engaged and engrossed in that conversation. So I saw that this is a wonderful tool and another platform of discourse to engage young people who are defining, reimagining, and redefining what this notion of Afrofuturism is. So enough respect and congratulations to you on that. And I love all the subtleties of how you brought in the global movements, things that happen historically, things that are happening now, never laboring on them, but with the power of language, just peppering the video, whether it be climate change or climate variation, so many different things that we are struggling with now on the planet. I love the way you were able to weave them together. And in an interesting way, and this is my final comment on the video, I like your interrogation of this system we call capitalism. And I also like the deconstruction of one of the most important words, a word called class. It's one of the few words in the English language where ass is included in it. But it really takes up a lot of our time, a lot of our space, a lot of our wanting to be something other than ourselves. So thank you, Michael, for the vision. Thank you for including me in today's panel. But these are my thoughts on I do not submit, because I think it's a sweet segue into the world of Afrofuturism.
Thank you so much, Itah. Now let's hear from Becca. Becca, your response to the work.
Hi, everybody. I feel so honored to be here and kind of out of place, actually. So I want to start by telling a little story of how I know Michael. I think I saw Lillian there, and she is the person many years ago, 20 years ago, I was working with a choir of hotel workers in downtown Toronto. And when I tried to make space for a woman of color, as we said at the time, to take over, Lillian Allen said, you can't do that because the women have embraced you. And the women, it was all women in the choir, mostly Jamaican, told me that I couldn't quit because they had broken me in. They were very clear who was in charge. It was them, it was not me. I was leading the choir, but they knew what was up. And anyhow, long story short, Michael partnered with me in leading, and we became friends at the time, working with this choir to lift up the struggles of the working class against capitalism, for women who cleaned the rooms of the downtown hotels in Toronto. So that's how we met. And I've loved his work and loved Michael ever since then. And my own journey has taken me into a deeper study of theology. And I wrote about some of this work with the hotel employees and restaurant employees choir when I did a PhD and studied community singing. And my agenda became to look at what people sing actually in churches and to critique it for the colonialism that's embodied in what we do in churches. So my work tries to decolonize what we do in churches, but to look at the bigger project of decolonizing Christianity and lifting up indigenous local expressions of Christianity. So what I loved about the video was Michael's prophetic voice that shone through, and his lifting up of his deep spiritual heart. I wanted to just say how inspiring it is. So I like what you say about Afrofuturism. And I want to suggest that people like me, white people like me, need to sit back and listen for a change. That's why I feel out of place, because I feel like it shouldn't be me talking, but I feel like we need to listen to the people of the global South who have what Michael calls alternative ways, indigenous wisdom that has in it some love for humanity, love for all of creation that the whole planet desperately needs now. And I hear your love of Africa and everything that it has to offer, and love of all people, your love of elders. Every time I see you, sometimes when I'm kind to an elder, I think of you as a role model. So all of that is in the piece, and I lift it up and I thank you, and you inspire me, and I will continue to pledge to listen to the wisdom of those who have been shut up, erased, disposed by dominant voices. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Becca. And I'm happy that you put a pin in the bum of the elephant in the room. And you said what Tom Props we might think that, white folks want to sit down and listen to the voices that, really respect you for that humility and the honesty in sharing that. Samir Patel, tell us who you are, how you come in, and how you respond to the work.
Hi, I hope you can hear me okay. And first I want to say thank you to Michael for allowing me to collaborate with him on this project. In many ways, it was an unexpected gift because it was unexpected and it was a gift. It was a great tapestry to play with. My first response, interestingly, well, when I first heard the bass, I have a love of first of all of music. I used to DJ, so a big collection you can't see, and I collected Jamaican music. So bass really affects me. So when I heard his music, it was the bass that got me first, and then it was the lyrics. The bass came first, and lyrics came. And even though I questioned myself of every single lyric, whether I agreed with, I also realized that the power of Jamaican music is about narrative and story, and about the story of the suffering. And there was something about the narrative that grabbed me. So as a collaborative artist, I want to explore my own thoughts through somebody else's work. So the words, the lyrics, the bass gives me an inspiration to then explore something visual. So my approach to this was to see, okay, what can I add to this? Because there's already a lot, and it's dense, it's rich, it's got history, it's got culture. So I can come from my own culture. So my background is my parents are East African Indian, brought over as indentured slaves to Kenya, indentured servants, sorry, not slaves, to Kenya, and then expelled from Uganda in '72 to the UK. That's my history, and I have my own tapestry of thoughts, and so I wanted to bring that to the equation, and then unite with Michael's lyrics through constant communication, because we communicated a lot. So this is how the video developed. I didn't know what I wanted to do at first. I just approached it as, what is Michael saying? What do I want to say? Where can we meet? And if we differ, can we move through those differences, which we did. And what ended up was, what I didn't expect to end up was a lot of my spiritual experiences that I didn't ever think I would put into a music video. So, for example, and the idea of duality and non-duality. So in Indian history, we have Advaita Vedanta, which is non-dual philosophy. And for me, and this is for my interpretation, I did not submit, can begin on the external level. You do not submit to something external, the system, Babylon. But on the Advaita Vedanta non-dual system, you are the system. And so as you progress through the video, you move upwards through duality to non-duality. Halfway through, there's a Kundalini awakening. If people who don't know Kundalini in the Indian system of yoga, it's an energy that rises from your bottom chakra to your Saraswara chakra, giving you non-dual experiences, dissolution of the self. So as one grows through the expression of I do not submit, one meets the system, one meets the politics, one meets duality. And then when one realizes that one is the system, one pierces the chakras and becomes one with the system. And then you get the mandala effects, you get the expression of non-duality visually. So you get mandalas in Buddhism and Vajrayana Tantric Buddhism and Tantric Hinduism in Africa, in India, and South America. The mandalas all over the place, symmetry from the center. And that's halfway through. And that's where, for me, the story of I Do Not Submit begins, because even when you are expressing non-duality, there are levels of what we say in India, samadhi, or non-dual experiences. You still endure the system, you still feel the system. You might be one with it, but you'll still have an ego, and the ego gets bigger. And so as the person does not submit, one travels through a narrative of the internal self, where one begins to understand life and death as one. So you see frames of on the left, you see life, on the right, you see death, you see time and space. Everything becomes one. You're moving through the experiences. One is having an ego death, or death in itself. And as one moves through that, one realizes that earlier on, when you were in duality, you saw yourself against the system because you didn't see the connections between everything. And then moving on through the video, there is an epiphany. There's epiphany, you pierce the Saraswara chakra and you become one with everything. You attain Nirvaka Samadhi, or the highest level of non-dualism. Maybe not, but that's what's written. And the Merkaba forms. So you see this Merkaba, this geometric shape with two tetrahedrons pointing up and down, which is used in many different systems, and it's spinning around Michael on the throne. So Michael is approaching Zion, the unity consciousness, the oneness with all. Some people call it the caliphate, the perfect state, Kala Chakra in Buddhism. It's one unified state of consciousness, not just yourself with the earth. And he's bringing it back to the earth. And he brings it back to the earth. You see the dualistic forms reverse in time. The nuclear bomb comes back. The sneeze goes up the nose again. And what we're realizing is that there is no time, there is no space. In fact, when we hit unity consciousness, all sins are forgiven, time reverses, and everything makes sense. That what oneness is within, oneness is without. And I do not submit becomes, I am one with everything. So every time for me, Michael said throughout the track, I do not submit, he's moving through a state of ego to egolessness and beyond. And he's wondering, who is he submitting to? A Muslim might say, I submit to the will of Allah, the will of God. But the Vajrayana Buddhist or the Hindu or the Sufi is realizing there is nothing, there is emptiness. One gets to a point where one submits and there is nothing around because you are everything. And for me, that was the challenge of the video, is how do you express non-dual consciousness politically and spiritually? And for me, it's a traverse through time and space to realize that we, as a people, moving through stages of consciousness to get to a oneness of reality. So that's where I begin my journey. And Michael gave me the opportunity as a filmmaker to do this. I didn't ever think that I would do this kind of stuff within the music video context. But there was something so deep and profound about Michael's energy. It helped me express these things in his video. I don't think Michael, when he first approached me, I don't even think we spoke about this. I think I just said to him, I've got some ideas, let me show you. And it progressed and progressed and progressed. But over time, it became this. And I still welcome Michael's thoughts. So we still talk about it. We still go into it with depth. We still dissect it. Michael brought things like the Ghanaian symbols. We broke it down into 3 sections. It's coded. There's symbols of geometric shapes, the platonic solids that move in Michael's head. But for me, having had certain experiences of non-duality, the brain creates symmetry. The left and the right frontal lobes meet with the back. And the platonic solids in his head are forming states of consciousness. So everything is precise. There's no coincidence. Every shot is precise. Every symbol we use is precise. And it's trying to create a narrative, and also trying to say, look, it's not an Eastern or Western or African or Asian or Chinese. It is a unified consciousness. We all bring something to this journey of non-duality, of oneness, of everything. Everything is one. So that's my contribution to the beauty of Michael's music, that oneness is everywhere. But I believe this is my belief.
Thank you, Sammy. That's like a head full. That's like a whole semester coursework. And that's deep. That's deep. Yeah, that deep. Donisha, jump in. Jump in, Donisha.
Blakka, to speak after such a profound dissection of the human experience. First of all, congratulations on such an amazing art installation, living and breathing preservation of human history in such a dynamic form. I don't have the words that you have, Samir, so I'm just going to use the simple ones that I have. I felt like we moved through time and space as different entities manifested. I made a few notes here. I felt like an alien. I felt celestial. I felt at one point like I was AI. it's, you know, moving also through the historic footage, like the footage of MLK, also helped to root the conversation. You know, I mean, the poem is brilliant. I don't submit either Rastafari. Seen, and now we have something as profound as this to show why. Like what sometimes ends up being hours of reasoning has been condensed into a 10-minute experience of what it is that we're really trying to say at the end of the day, you know? And so I have to agree, you know, in bigging up Michael St. George and Blakka on continuing to preserve our heritage through the form of the poetry, because it is so defiant. You know? And this is taking a fresh new breath on that. I agree. You know, it with statements like, so I put my phone down to deal with my own, what you said, deal with my own like trauma, you know, unpack my own traumas or something like that. I was like, Rasclat, sorry. But that you know, that is how it hit me, because it's like, wow, we are so caught up in this space all the time, dealing with the trauma of the world. And sometimes we don't even recognize that the trauma that we're dealing with in our own life, the trauma that we're dealing with online, where there's no space to breathe. There's no space to have a moment to meditate beyond the physical, to realign ourselves, you know? So I do not submit to that experience anymore of living trauma on the phone, in life, in my head. I do not submit to the Babylon that wants to manifest inside of me to say, just submit. It might be a little bit easier. You know, so for me, Michael, this work will be studied, as we know. You know, it will live as a time capsule of the human experience for a longer time than now. And the way how it was able to speak on so many topics in so many different cultures through imagery is really very beautiful. Samir, thank you so much for these images. They are so empowering. They are inspiring. I want to say they're revelating, you know, it's a revelation, you know, but I don't know the word to use right there. It's revealing. Maybe that's what I should say. It's revealing. I was trying to be too speaky. Yeah. But, you know, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Samir. And we leave it right there for now.
Alrighty. So Itah, Becca, Samir, Donisha, a wonderful opening up of some thoughts and some ideas here. I think if I do not submit becomes a course. Samir had given us the abstract and the course outline, and with that wonderful dissection. And I mean, we're seeing it from great angles. Tomorrow, Monday in Jamaica, we bid farewell in the last dub to Jean Binter Breeze. And the following day, we celebrate Marcus Garvey's birthday and remember the date when they killed Marcus the poet. It's all a very rich moment in the history and the movement of poetry and the art that we look at Michael's wonderful work, which I insist. Michael and I talk about as artists, as creators, about the idea of your magnum opus, your defining work, and I do submit that this feels like Michael's magnum opus. It's a powerful piece of work. I want to open up now to have the convo, you know, be wider and broader, and invite those who are viewing to share thoughts. So you want to type your comments in the chat, and I will read them for us. Or you want to, you know, just give me your feedback. I'm seeing people like Clive Walker with a walking encyclopedia of Black Afro-Caribbean culture in North America. I see our brother Elder Nene Kafele, and I welcome any comment from anybody who wants to join. I just want to say that what Itah, Becca, Samir, and Donisha has done is now cut the pie up. We all can then now take a slice and begin to share. You know, all of us are now invited to speak through the hole in the mask and peek through the crack in the glass and share your response to this powerful work by Michael St. George. I do not submit.
Hi, I'm Marva McClean tuning in from Florida. I've not met Michael physically, however, I met him through a colleague of his who submitted an article for a newsletter that I published called Sound Their Bang, Writing Black, Aboriginal, and Indigenous Lives. And he reported on a particular event that took place, I think was it New Zealand? Some years ago, 2017, and I was struck by the work
that
Michael is doing.
It was in Vanuatu.
Yes. And I was struck by the work that Michael is doing, the sense of immediacy and also the sense of it being rooted in wisdom traditions. And his work brings together a diversity of genres, of mediums, and that struck me. I've met people, artists, writers who focus on a particular area, but I've never seen it come together in these different strands and in such a powerful and spiritual way. I do not submit. When I first, I've looked at it in two ways. One, as a poem, the lyrics before seeing the video. And the title struck me. And at first I said, why not, I will not submit. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized what was happening. It's like an ideology, an expression of an ideology. It's not that I will not submit if you do so-and-so to me. This is a stance. It's like a state of being. I do not submit. And I find that to be very empowering, so that regardless of what is going on, whether it's capitalism, whether it's the pandemic, I'm not submitting to what is wrong, what I know to be incorrect. And so, and then moving on from there, especially when I observed the video and all the graphic imagery, that added another dimension to the narrative. There's a sense of calling on the individual that you are accountable. You have a responsibility. The politicians are there. There's a critique of that socio-political environment in which we live. But the bottom line that I got from that is that as individuals, we're seeing all of this. We are part of it. We're culpable as well. And we have a responsibility to do something about it. Some of the words that I think you did a kind of disclaimer or a reference to the fact that it might be disturbing, where the vomit tastes better than the food. So as a poet, I'm looking at it from that perspective, the lyrics, the stanzas, the verses, and the choice of language that you just can't escape it. And, you know, it comes at you. But on the other hand, you present this information almost in a gentle way, so that it's not forced at you. And so you respect it and you take it in. So it's going to touch everyone. Those of us who might be wrongdoers, those of us who are trying to trod the wisdom path. I heard you use that word in a video online this week, and I've written that down because that really it resonates with me. The lyrics, the graphic imagery, the movement. I also love the way you moved in the video, that kind of Rastaman vibration, or what we used to call in Jamaica when we were kids, like a rude boy bop, but it's, you know, it's tempered and it's melodic. So there's a movement of your body that fuses with the rhythm of the poem. And it's just beautifully rendered, and it resonates with me on a deep and spiritual level, as well as the fact that I'm a social justice activist working the field of education. And I think this is also important to bring to children. And they are going to respond because you have those elements there, those contemporary elements that young people will respond to on a particular level and then move into the deeper meaning of the piece. I would love to do some curriculum work on this. And I think it is so, so much needed. And I'm really, you know, we have messed up this world as adults. So we have to look to the youth for some form of redemption. And I think we have the capacity, some of us, to provide the tools to do that. And your work, not just this song or this video, but your work overall stands as a possibility to begin that kind of work or move more in greater strength in getting that work done. So on a personal level, I'm just pleased to have had the opportunity to meet you and to be exposed to your work and to be touched in this way by your work. So thank you.
Thank you, Doc. And I agree that with some of the comments I'm seeing in the chat that it belongs on the curriculum. Certainly, I mean, it belongs in a state of study for young people to look at. I lecture course at Edinburgh College called the Self, Ethics and Creativity, and this has to be in the course content come September. That it is not rich with what it asks you to do individually to respond to, and the assertion "I do not submit" can just become in itself a space of entrance into intellectual interrogation of all things that we embrace and accept in our life. So anybody else want to jump in and share a view? Please feel welcome, feel invited. Nene, Clive.
Yeah, I'd like to jump in. This is Clive.
Yes,
I'd like to jump in and just say a couple of words about my brethren Michael. I think, you know, this piece is really a continuation of the work, the really quality work that Michael is always known for. And I think certainly in the construction of the poem, which people have talked about, and definitely in the way that the music was arranged and presented, you know, those things I think are part of Michael's toolbox, where, you know, he has this striving for excellence, which I think is very apparent in this, you know, it certainly continues in this work. I think what may be, you know, what may be at a slightly higher level in this particular work is the video. I actually was really, you know, I think the video really hit me in a certain way. And especially for me, the images of Michael himself. I think Michael, you know, I think the camera liked Michael. I think the camera really liked him. And, you know, that helps. And he's very comfortable in front of the camera. And even with all those costume changes and all of that, you're kind of, you know, that for me, you know, was what centered me in the video was, you know, his performance, which I didn't mention, his performance, which I think is an outstanding performance, and which everybody's saying that, you know, that he may have outdone himself in this particular poem. So I think the performance, you know, just the way he performed the poem, and, you know, how, you know, some of the words were voiced is really, you know, I think is quite outstanding. So, you know, I mean, what else is there to say that people haven't said already? I mean, there's a lot of really great analysis that has been given here. And so I just wanted to comment a little bit about Michael, the artist, because he is an artist and he's a very good artist. And so that's really my contribution.
Thank you, Bro Clive. Now, as a critique of the poetry, of the culture of arts generally, I like to make the point about the need for strengthening the intersection between rhythm and rigor, you know, beyond just the rhythm and the vibe and the magnetic rhythm of the rhythm and the vibes, but for the work to have critically substantive literary rigor and deep meaning and so on. And there are ways in which this work does that beautifully. But I want to invite the panelists and the viewers to also be aware that Michael can take a good reading and a good talking to, and can also accept critique that might not be complimentary. So also, if anybody wants to say, hey, this never lead me to right, or that kind of feel, or I could do with some more of that, we want to hear that as well. Let's not make it all wonderfully.
Lillian.
Yes, Nene.
Greetings, everyone.
Blessings, brother. Respect.
I'm greeting you from the motherland. Yes, my brother. I am almost speechless, bubbling with.
Nene, you're glowing. You're glowing.
Yeah, a lot of pride.
Nice.
African vibes, Yeah. Donisha, what going?
Everything blessed, man, not love.
Everything good, yes. As soon as I watched the clip, my first talk every day online, me and Blakka and Clive most of the time. And my first response was, this is your opus magnus. And Blakka's first response was the same thing, separate from mine. And just like most of you, I have been privileged to be part of this artistic journey with my brother, my dear brother. And this feels like a real pulling together of many threads. The first kind of cultural vibration that hit my bones from watching the video was Itah Sadu. The vibration of defiance, the revolutionary, pick up your chest, stand up in front of Babylon, face down whatever, with tenacity and clarity and confidence and assertiveness. It just stood up for me, and I feel like, in Ghana, every Sunday, just about now actually, from 4 to 6, there's a program. Reggae is very big in Africa, especially sub-Saharan Africa. It's a program that takes the lyrics of a popular reggae song and deconstructs it. It's almost like a reggae university on the radio. Every Sunday from 4 to 6, I think it's 101.1 in Accra. And I'm thinking I have to link up the producer, get this video to him, and have him do not just a Sunday for 2 hours, but probably about 6 months of Sundays to deconstruct, to analyze, to reason. And there's a lot of young people calling it from all over Africa, mostly West Africa. And the program is very popular. Because of the powerful nature of the video. It's inviting us, in my view, to not just think critically, but think critically and radically about the kind of world we're bequeathing to the next generation and what we need to do in terms of defiance and resistance, in terms of challenging and standing up and speaking out and making a difference, and we make a difference by using, as Samir talked about, our different chakras. Is a throat chakra. That's about voice and sound, expression and defiance. And we connect that and align that with the heart and the portal, the spirit portal. Powerful, nothing beat that. And that was the vibration I got, There's an African word called Ngolo. Bantu word. Ngolo means vital force. It's like the thing that animates the energy in most living things, the thing that animates community, the thing that mobilizes action, the thing that excites energies and the conviction to actually change something, to destroy what is not good and rebuild and refresh and cleanse up and rewind and come again. Ngolo, N''G-O-L-L-O. And this poem, this is not even a poem for me. This is an experience that is part poetic, full-time spiritual, full-time aesthetical, just revolutionary in many ways. So this thing has this vital force that can mobilize young people to think about being defiant, but also what to do with that defiance. What do we build instead of the corrupt, inept vomit that Michael so aptly says can sometimes taste better than the food? What do we show as a better way, as another world? And how do we do it as community? And in a way that is signaling a seriousness around revolution, not just revolutionary thought, but revolutionary action. And to me, this lays the groundwork. So my 3 criticisms, and I've reasoned with Michael about this already. I'd love to see some female energy in it as balance, because that's an African ethos. Number 2 is, if I do not submit, then what exactly do I stand for? Right? And that was kind of an assumed thing in the video. To me, it could have been more robustly stated. Yes, certain. And then the 3rd is community. You know, people demonstrating, people farming, people revolting, people rebuilding together. You know, that community vibe as well. To me, those 3 things are pieces I would have added to the video, but I understand all of the realities around time, and there's a lot to say. And as you said, Itah, it is a long video. But you must admit, each of us, once you start watching this, you can't stop. Riveting, riveting, riveting. Michael St. George, you're a genius, my brother. I'm honored and privileged to be your brethren, to see you snoring in Africa. And should I bust out your secrets from all over the world? We travel all over the world, you know. Yes. But it's a privilege and an honor. And I really look forward to how I can actually help and support this opus in terms of its unfolding in the various ways that I absolutely know is going to unfold. This is going to be a big friggin' deal. That, I'm sorry for my language, but yes, that's what I think. All right, Blakka, I'm done. I was just smoking some good.
Let me pick up where Paul leave off. Go Lillian.
Yeah, let me pick up where Paul left off there. Just from the big friggin' deal part. Here's the deal now.
You're muted.
Lillian.
She mute herself.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm back. So it got to get out there. It won't be big unless people hear it, and people are thirsting for this right now. Man, you drop something here. I know that says the Opus Magnus. It is that, and even beyond. You kick open some doors. And all the young folks out there who are wondering, looking for something in the music, in the poetry, you know, trying to find themselves.
Performance.
I think performance, just come into voice. I think that this piece is a kernel of the University of Revolution. So that if studied, and I'm telling you, when I heard it, I'm you know, planning my curriculum for a couple courses, and I'm like, I'm dropping this in, because it's really important that young folks start to get back to the roots of the culture, why we're here, what we're doing it for. And in terms of your performance, that's, you know, you've always sort of been really up there. You've stepped now, to me, into sageness with that piece. Mm-hmm. And I hope it's not too much on you, because, you know, but I feel like you have gone there. It's not like, you know, and I get there and then, you know, I have to figure it out again. from you, the trajectory of what you've been doing, it feels to me like you have slipped into sageness. And here's the damn thing about it, man. You are so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing is so cool. That I do think it has legs, and I think that you should consider putting a few $1,000 into promoting the hell out of it, into networking the hell out of it, and get it moving. So I could say a lot more, but I just want to say that, and I'm so glad that you're holding up that end, because you know we come so far, and you know, next stage, next level. So we're there, we're there, and you're a leader. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lillian. So I want to put a question to each panelist, specific question, and then I'm going to invite Michael to jump in. But Michael, don't jump in yet. I want to ask each panelist a specific question to just kind of broaden and take a different tangent on the conversation. Starting with Itah. Ask you, Itah, as a community organizer, as a commercial activist, I mean, as an active part in the commercial business of literature in Toronto. How do you see this being marketed to the broader community, beyond click, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel? Is there a way to get this idea sold to community? Itah, you there? Itah gone? I'm not seeing Itah in the list of participants anymore.
Itah's there, but muted, and then.
Oh, well, until Itah comes back.
Unmute her.
Can you unmute her, Ayan?
Here it is. Here, I'm back. I'm back. I got.
Before you go, Itah, before you go, I see a raised hand from Luther Brown. Luther Brown, I see a raised hand. Please jump in.
Here you go.
Greetings. It is good to join in. I will not be able to stay for the entire thing, but I thought there is no way I could miss out on this.
What time is it?
I listened to the commentary prior to this, and I am 100% in agreement.
Thank you.
With the statements, right? No, Blakka, you said the man can't take licks, so we should throw it, because it is relevant and it is important to hear other thinking about the work that is produced out there. Because once you produce the work and put it out, it takes on a life of its own. And I agree with the gender aspects that is not as represented, because the call, as I see it from Michael, is a call for self-critical analysis, for action. It's not a you know, you hear this and you critique it and you sit down. It's a call to action. I also know that Michael is voicing an energy that the universe is calling for right now. You can see how the universe is unsettled and how the universe is trying to find something to connect to and to hold on to. And I believe I Do Not Submit is a way of making a connection to what the universe is calling out for right now. And Michael has also, we've known each other for a while, and I've watched Michael grow, and there's a kind of wisdom that has come about because of your experience, Michael, and the work that you've done, and your ability to listen and hear from others and use what you've heard to impact whatever it is you're doing. I remember when Michael Jackson's long video came out, which was like a movie, how it changed the world. This will change the world because it is very engaging, it's very powerful, it's very lyrical, and we hear about the music and the energies around it. Virgin, you come into a wisdom that is awesome. And somebody say you're a sage. Well, I divide that here, sir. And to my peeps listening and watching, thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this. And Blakka, it's good to see you. A long time no see you. All right. Itah, peace to you.
Itah.
And Lillian, I haven't seen Lillian in 3 million years, and it's good to see you and be a part of this, man. Anyway, let me shut up and come off.
All right. So, all right. Well, I'll sell it. One of the first things I want to say, and it's about Samir, right? Samir said, Michael allowed me to add. You see, that's an important thing. So when you're selling a product now and people come into a shop, you say, like, here is this wonderful, new, hot PSA. I even want to say it's a PSA, you know, as opposed to a poem or something. People are like, what? What the hell is the PSA that you're saying? But the important thing I want to say is that the video, this body of work allows people to add. So when you say to somebody, I'm selling you something that you can add to it. Oh my God, look at the mathematics right there already. People feel now that they have a role to play in something. When I think about this, I think of even breaking it down and giving people little tweaks. Like when people pop up in the morning on the video, they should see something that says like, I do not submit, or one of the killer lines in the video, like, is the disease better than the cure? So I see it as dripping, drip, drip, drip all over people. In terms of the course, I see it in multiple courses, like not hold ourselves back. Like it is in this one course, it's in the film studies course, it's in the anthropological course. I mean, like blow up the courses now, right? But in terms of marketing this, the power of social media with it, I see it is enormous. I see the t-shirts, I see the billboards, I see that inquiry, because that's what he's doing. He's pushing us to inquire. So I'm walking down the street and somebody is saying something like, I'm a DNS, and people say, what the hell is that? Well, I do not submit. Oh my God, I want to be part of that. You see, that's the kind of campaign that we are on. And here's a beautiful moment. This is a beautiful moment that I'm feeling. How often do we get to tell each other and love up all over each other? You see, even as people of African descent, this is such a beautiful moment, Michael, today, that we get to love up all over you. We get to love up all over everybody that's on this panel. So even with that, that's part of the marketing, to say to people, you know, when you get this product or you tune into this thing or you purchase it, whatever you're going to be doing with this kind of thing, it also to extends or appreciation or respect and the love that we have to love up all over people too of African descent. So I want to say that. So as a person who is in the commercial business, and Blakka, I got to give her some props, but not say like you in capitalism. I noticed that kind of, you know, really polite stuff you were saying. In the commercial sector, I'm thinking like, damn, the boy coming with game. But here's the thing though. I see it is that in the morning, 1 million people's phone should go ping, and this thing is on it. Because the medium is so compelling for those platforms. I see the walking billboards of it, and walking billboards are t-shirts. These are all the things that I see that make up this incredible project and ways to disseminate it. I see us texting it all over the place to people like, are you in? Because this is a movement. What Michael has created is something that extends a movement. And the world is looking for a movement. The world isn't looking for a change. We know what the change is. What we need is now the movement to just get our mojos going so that people jump on the movement so that we can really impact change and do the changes that we want to see in the world. So I'm sitting here and I'm so excited, 1 million ideas popping off in my head of how the visually, the world can embrace this, and not only embrace this, but do something about it, because it leaves space for us to add who we are onto this I do not submit. So that is me and my take on it, and just happy to be in this wonderful opportunity where a black man too, we got an opportunity today to love up all over you. And, you know, we are not like moaning you or crying for you or some kind of stuff for you. So this is all good for me. What time is it? That's what Public Enemy asked. What time is it? And look, that particular phrase and statement, people were questioning, what am I doing with my time? Am I serving time, or is time serving me? So here again, I do not submit. Love the t-shirt. Love to see it coming real soon. And Samir, props to you. Props to you, Samir, because, and also Becky too. You are people who said that you have been given the space to add. Addition is powerful mathematics. Love it every time.
Thank you, Itah. So we'll jump to Becca now. To Becca, I can't request that you speak for all white people, but I want to hear you speak. And, I want to hear your response. How do you see this work? How do you see this work in the context of decolonizing church, decolonizing Christianity? How do you see this work in terms of what white people's response to it, or its response to white people? Give me.
Oh man. Okay. No, just have to get rid of this heavy load. I can't do that. Well, I like what Lillian was saying about using it in the classroom. And I was thinking about that this could be in a theology classroom because it lifts up, it asks so many questions and it's provocative. And I also appreciate what Samir said about his own journey of kind of thinking about everything that's part of the poem, which I'm going to call it, and whether he agreed with it or not. And I can just imagine this amazing, robust conversation about each piece of it, both visually and in terms of the words and the movement. It provides an opportunity for people to engage with the conversation and think about all the pieces that are lifted up, again, in words and in image. I think there's a couple words that are like, I'm just feeling super lucky to be here and be blessed by this conversation. And the word that comes up, that has come up so often, is defiant. And I want to put a word in front of that, lovingly defiant, because that's like there's a way of having a conversation here that's being modeled where we might not agree with all parts of the conversation, but where the conversation is rooted in a commitment to loving defiance against forces of oppression. So my take on Christianity is sometimes I think it needs to be thrown out of the window, to be honest, but I teach it, and what I go to is the history of defiant Christians who stuck to the heart of the gospel, which is about loving your neighbor as yourself. And that is a liberating message. That is a hard message that it's not just about some kind of romantic lovey-dovey stuff. It's about being there and putting your whole self and your whole body on the line. So for white people, that's what it's about. It's about putting yourself on the line and putting yourself, and like I said at the beginning, about also taking yourself out, like making space for those other voices that have been held down in the last 500 years since Europeans began colonizing the world, and before that too, but especially since 1492, and the, you know, the ways that the world has brought us to this place of crisis. You know, it's been European, a distortion of ideas of European supremacy that have brought us there, and this is a critique of that. But it's a loving, defiant, lament and rail against oppression, and also it's full of hope and nourishment. So I feel like there could just be an amazing conversation in the classroom and among people about what this offers and what it pushes me to think about critically in terms of my own weakness, the privilege that I live with every day and take for granted, and how to consciously live with that and critique that and go towards what Samir talked about, this kind of unity of connection and this reality that we're both not submitting to the system, but also part of the system, right? So there's, anyhow, I'm in danger of rambling on, so I'll stop, but there's a lot there, and it's just really exciting. And in case I don't get to talk again, I just want to say what a blessing it is for me to be a witness to this conversation, and that it's going to give me strength and hope in the days ahead.
Blakka?
Yes, I see you bubbling and buzzing.
I just want to say something real fast because I'm excited about this. You know, when I think of the piece too, I think of chess. How do we connect the game of chess to this piece? And Michael alludes to is in it, right? Yeah. So I'm thinking too, how do you make that connection? And this is the epic idea. So if we're going to hire one of those helicopters that have the banner, you know, and you know, they fly across the city. That's about $2,000, right? They fly across the city and it says, "I do not submit." And then you think, oh my God, like, did you miss that? You know, so again, people are looking at the sky and I'm seeing this thing go over and I think, I do not submit. Do I want to be part of that? What the hell is that? But it's such an inquiring thing to behold. So just excited about the chess. How do we relate it to that board game? And also to how do I put it into the air in the sky that people look up and they think, I want to be part of that, or I want to know what that is.
Thank you, Itah. Donisha had to leave. She had an emergency that she had to attend to, so she had to leave. So I want to now move to Samir. Now, Samir, I mean, we're looking at Michael's work and Michael's poetry, but Samir's input has certainly lifted it and add the rigor to the rhythm and certainly enriched the entire offering. And Samir's involvement certainly is, to me, a wonderful exemplar of creative cross-cultural collaboration. You know, Samir, as the creative genius behind some of these images, and hearing the convo thus far, my brother, what would you, if anything, add or change or subtract, or I mean, what's your response to all of that?
That's a very good question. I haven't thought about what I would change. When I watched it just now, the thing is it was such a deep process, I think, for the both of us. I don't know, I can't speak for Michael. I imagine it was quite intense working with me, or at least we had quite deep conversations. So I think I'm satisfied with the fact that we did our best. We really thought through everything. We debated. He was quite patient with me. There was a lot of thought went into it, and so there's nothing that I think I would take out. Now, would I add anything? You know, listen to everyone speak. I think this is a powerful piece, and the words need to be out there. I think that it does nothing. You know, maybe I'm saying this. We don't need to add anything, but what I wish is, with such a blessing of a piece of poetry, that we had more resources to do a bigger and more bold statement. We had resources that were limited but good enough to do what we needed to do, and so I thank the universe for that. But with something so profound, I wish, you look at budgets for videos that don't say very much, and I feel that there's a story here, there's a profound idea, and the resources required to produce and navigate it and market it maybe if I had a wish that either they come again, or you know, or that because these are important messages. So you know, the world supplies resources for things to get made, and but they're powerful words here, and I wish there was resources to get this to a bigger level and to a bigger amount of people. Having said that, you know, if you believe in abundance, maybe we have what we need, and maybe what we need will come. But that's something that I wish for. But again, there was so much serendipity within the actual project itself. Nicole introduced us. Michael had never met me before. He saw some work I did, and he went on a lot of trust. And a lot of these ideas just came out. That I think sometimes the world works this way, that it gives you what you need and it spreads it to the right people. And maybe this is the beginning, this is the kernel of something bigger, that we are going to share it and link, and it'll grow and grow and grow. And that's what needs to happen. So there's a lot of good energy behind the inception and the project itself for it to go forward. So you know, hopefully it grows. But I think that's what I would wish to happen, that the actual content I'm happy with, but I hope enough people see it, and I hope it spreads, and I hope Michael's words, I do not submit, are absorbed by people, and they take from it what they subjectively believe, because that's what the power of poetry is you go into it feeling as you are in that moment, and you go into it next time, you feel something different. I just hope enough people get to see it. So maybe I agree with some of the other panelists that it just requires that boost for people to see it and to absorb it. It's a powerful story for today's world.
Thank you.
Blakka, may I jump in before you go on? I want to respond to that thought and there.
Please read your comment in the chat that I was about to read. Yes.
May I speak?
Yes, Marva, go ahead.
Oh, okay. In response to Samir and the other comments about expanding the work to this particular video and maybe include the female narrative or voice. A poem is a poem, and you get into it, you absorb it, and you have a reaction. I don't think we should force feed the reader this material. I think it's sufficient. Michael is presented as a sage in this piece of in this material, and there's also the Rastafari sensibility as well. And that speaks for itself. So you know that you're on a particular path, and why this is a character. This is someone that's representative of an idea, a philosophy, an ideology. So that when you read and interpret it, you can connect it to whatever your ideology is, or your focus, or your path. To put too much into it, I think would detract from it. That's one. Second, though, and this is perhaps a criticism, when I read the piece about Michael that had been sent, I started researching him, and I could not find content. And I think that is something that you need to address right away, Michael. When anyone puts in Michael St. George, your work should come up, you should come up. Also notice that the last piece of PR material article that was written about you was in 2014. There might be other material, but I couldn't find it. And all the different platforms, I use, and I'm a researcher, and I'm usually able to find material. So I think that first off, that is something that you should address and get that, building up yourself, presenting yourself, your profiles, who you are, what you stand for, and make that accessible, not just to adults, but to youth as well. And I think, of course, social media, your daughter was on earlier on, she should be a great person to get that going. But from my perspective, that needs attention immediately.
And your post in the chat, Marva, just want to say to us?
I'm sorry?
Your post in the chat about the panelists collaborating on a chapter.
Yes. Oh, you want me to talk about it?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I was approached by a publisher to be an editor for a book, a chapter book on social justice and equity across the globe in classrooms. And so just listening to the presentations, and because I look at everything from the perspective of young people and their need to be prepared as to become leaders in this world, I think this is would be a great forum for the panelists to get together. Myself, I might be included in that as well, to create a chapter on Michael's body of work with the I Do Not Submit video being at the forefront. And all the different things we have said, we've received different perspectives here today. Those could be parts of that book chapter.
Absolutely. I think it's a good time now to invite Michael to jump into the conversation. Yes. I start teaching a course in a few weeks' time called Self-Ethics and Creativity for artists at Edelman College. It's already on the curriculum for that course, the video, and hopefully I can get the competition from this recording to also share. I really want to also include the questions, the critiques posed by Nene Kafele into the competition, into the after talk. I've been watching the video. How do artists respond to that question, that the absence of female balance energy? If not submission, then what? And then how do they see community being involved? So I think that's a rich conversation. And Michael, thank you for really linking us across Florida, Vancouver, Ghana, Toronto, Jamaica. Woo! Michael Pendergast, come in MSG.
Thank you. Thank you. I am deeply humbled and elated, you know, just it's a very special time, and I to some degree I feel very emotional, but in a good way. Your family from all parts of the world that I have journeyed with. When I see Lillian, Clive, Nene, yourself, and a part of the new family as well, Marva. Marva and I have been having this conversation now for just about 2 months, I think. And of course, Itah, I miss your energy, Itah. I just want to suck, put a syringe. Actually, this is not a good analogy today, but I just, you who's. And so I just want to say thank you. I see Lisa, I've not said anything. Patrecia Scarlett has been very, very supportive for years now in terms of my work. And we've had many, many conversations, wee hours of the morning. And of course, my brother Luther Brown, yes, you've actually watched the journey as well, like many others. When I came to Canada, actually, let me just go back to a little bit of the present and a few things. I do not submit is in the present tense. It is not, I will not. And I like what you said about Marva, because it is when you acknowledge where you are, when you are very clear on your purpose, when you have a clear sense of your values, it is very easy to make that statement for me. And so whatever comes, you can begin to pull it apart and analysis and say, here's why I've said that. And particularly the piece when, Donisha mentioned, unpacking, power down my phone, to unpack tragedies of my own. When I was writing the piece, I literally had to do that. I literally had to just put down my phone and say, no, I can't deal with what's happening right now because there's so much that I have to unpack. And the unpacking is really along a trajectory, looking historically at how did we get here. And for me, that was really important as a melanated man, as an African man who, grew up in Jamaica, grew up in a very very, very turmoil, violent. I know violence very well. I grew up in Augustown. You understand me? For those of you who know Augustown, I know violence very well. So to transform and to journey, and again, you know, this is where Samir and his thought comes in, to journey with this piece of, you know, knowing violence very well, to becoming an adult, to be responsible, to not use violence as a tool, but use language as a tool for discourse, and moving forward for a collective approach to how we should look at life. I had to really, you know, turn off my phone. I had to, and unpack my own tragedy in the midst. While I had friends and families that have been impacted by this, people, and not just people that I know, because I'm so connected. And, you know, I think it was Gil Scott in one conversation talk about being a writer and not being able to feel. If you're a writer, you must be able to feel. And so I felt it. I felt it for people that I don't know, because we're part of this human family. And so for me, that was really a painful experience to really write this piece, as well as understanding my responsibility. And the responsibility is you know, part of the responsibility and integrity balance to bring to the point of I do not submit, is the thought of being able to take a position even when it's dark and no one is looking, and still be able to do the right thing, you know. So it's been that kind of a journey. And yes, Samir and I, you know, we've trusted, and that brought me to that intersection where when I saw, and give thanks, you know, for the work that you've done with my Empress Nicole. And when I saw the work, I knew, because at that point I was looking at many different directors and videographers, Jamaica, Canada, you know, Africa. I've worked with some people that I thought, okay, let's look at, and other suggestions for UK as well. But when I saw your work, I knew, and this is the thing about your gut and your intuition. I've matured with that now. So I got to that point where I thought, yeah, I think this is definitely the person. But interestingly, Samir and I is a great example of this piece of what Marva referenced, and some conversations that Clive and I have had too, about respecting each other's position and understanding that we cannot, I'm not here to change anyone. I'm here to make a statement about my position, and through my lens that I've journeyed the world, I can clearly say this is an authentic position. It is void of selfishness, because I've matured to that point, and I'm looking beyond, you know, I'm looking to the next generation. So I'm looking beyond the present, and this is why this work is important, and it's important to make this statement. But Samir and I have had some serious conversations along the way, because there's certain things that, not about the content of the video only, but even just the content of the work itself. And you know, we don't agree with everything that I say in the poem, but we respect each other. And I think that is a great example of how we can move forward and begin to create bridges. I think that is really very, very important at this point in our journey. We need to create more bridges and find a way to alleviate the pain and the suffering in the world. And that should be our primary goal and objective as human being. And Nene, you know, I just want to refer to a few things that I've heard, you know, I've made note, and Marva alluded to that. I have more work coming. I have a whole body of work for you guys, to be honest, because over the last 14, 18 months, all I could do is work. And so there's more work coming, and yeah, it's Ngolo. I like that, Nene. I like that word, to be honest. We'll on come again, because it's the time for us to do that. The reality is that when you, most of us, you know, a lot of us are writers here too, and we understand it, and creative. When you decide to be in service, it is not always easy. And it is not necessarily about the financial reward. It is about understanding that you have a purpose and you have arrived in time based upon your journey, based upon all the things that have impacted you, based upon the friends and the people that have hold you dear, and also the ones that have actually, you know, poke you about improving your work. And Clive mentioned that. Clive and I have had many conversations along the way about what we can do differently with this form, and how can we move it now into another place. But I've always spent a lot of time to try and improve the work, interrogate myself, and figure out how we can move the thing to another place. And this this idea of a sage, I'm sitting with that. I have to say, I'm sitting with that and give thanks. Lillian, you know, the work that thank you so much for the work that you have done, and for that female balance energy, particularly in an industry that is dominated by male. And the reality is that it is very difficult to squeeze everything. I've squeezed so much into this piece.
Yeah.
It's yeah. So the value, as what Marva talked about, you know, the premise as a father, as a Rasta, as a community member, as a senior now in the community, that speaks to my expandedness around, you know, balance, and Jah bless me with all female as a father, which, you know, you have to be a special father to actually rear female and actually have them standing up in especially African females, and have them standing up in this world with integrity and balance, you know. So I feel very blessed by that. But I also want to say that the idea of giving this work more legs and the resource that we have committed to it. I threw a lot of my personal resource into it. You can see the video, the music, the production, the marketing and promotion that we have done. The video was shot here in Australia. Yeah, it's just, and the videographer is actually amazing. He's not present, but I have to give him a lot of credit. And it's interesting working with Samir in London, who, you know, officially took the role as a director, but was not present on the ground. So at the same time, being a performer in the piece and organizing the shoot, you know, I had to do some directing bits at the same time while dealing with the design and the logistics of everything. But it came together in a very phenomenal way. We have all collaborated very well, and we cross-pollinate with roles and conversations. So I am very satisfied with the piece. I think the marketing and promotion is what is it needed right now. And Itah, I'd love to pick your brain and pull you on board where that is concerned. And anyone else who would like to be a part of the next phase, this is the first of many conversations that we're planning to have, just so you know. So we're planning to have other panel conversations like this about I Do Not Submit. And it might take a different, you know, approach or content. I'm not sure, but we can have conversations about that, what the next panel and the next one would look like. And I would love to invite your thoughts on that. But in regards to what's happening in the world, and I, you know, just, you know, jump in with a couple of notes. In regards to what's happening in the world, Nene talk about the Peter touch energy. I have always said that in my conversation. Peter touch is my favorite whaler, to be honest. And, you know, there's a couple of other things that I just want to allude to. I don't know if when people heard Tracy Chapman talking about, don't you know, talking about a revolution sound, if people really understand what she was talking about in that particular song. And I would just like to pin that if you know, if you don't remember the content of that, I'd say, you know, go take a look and listen to that. because, you know, you talk about, you know, in line. I think it was Becca talked about, you know, white folks and they need to, you know, stand in line or listen more. And you know, particularly us, it's very important that we recognize that narrative, particularly in today's conversation around the state of the world, you know, the pandemic, vaccinations, you know, restriction orders and all that stuff. My conversation that is seminal to that is, what about the other voices? What about the other strategies? And there's a part of the poem that I mentioned that you can call this an attack on the lack of responsible management. How is the silos of trend and fears working for you? And geopolitical conquest, how do you do? And I just punctuate that so that we can have a conversation about that, because it is very important that we invite other voices. The dominant European narrative is largely responsible for where we are today. And we need to give credence to other voices, and we need to give credence to, as you know, I mentioned the other day, other wisdom path and other strategies and approach to health and protection of self. But Gil Scott-Heron also said the revolution will not be televised. So I just want us to really recognize that we have to, you know, listen to those sage before us. And that's where the griot role is concerned. I feel humbled, but I look to the examples before me. You know, I look to the examples before me, like Marcus Garvey, that we have actually talked about, like Kwame Nkrumah, you know, Haile Selassie. We looked at that speech that Haile Selassie did to the United Nations. It's still one of the greatest speeches that have been made in terms of collective security, in terms of where we are right now on the planet. And if we had actually employed some of those statements and some of those admonitions, we probably would have been in a bit different place today. I welcome any suggestion in terms of moving this forward. And I just want to say at this particular point, I want to thank everyone for their contribution, for being here. I also want to thank Benai. She's very quiet in the background, but a very forced and a young, solid support for my work. And I've devoted many time, many hours beyond what I could possibly compensate her for to be here. My daughter, of course, and all the other people that have just recognized that this work is important for all of us. And everyone, I'm not sure why Dennis is not here, but Dennis Bovell has been solidly a supporter of my work for over 10 years now. And, you know, I'm hoping that he's well, because we spoke at least 3 days ago and he was looking forward to being here, but maybe you'll be a part of the next one. And yeah, in deep gratitude, in absolutely deep gratitude, I just want to say thanks. There's so much more I could have said from my notes here that I've made through the conversation, but I just want to leave it at that. And again, you know, Lillian, deep respect, you know, deep, solid respect, honestly. Yeah. When I came to Canada, you remind me of the power of the work. And I will say this to a few people who, because it's important, we're a community. It took me a while for me to get my papers in Canada, even though I'm a citizen of the world. But it took me a while for them to give me papers in Canada to act and function. And if it hadn't been for the community, you, Lillian, Clifton, Audrey, Zena Mandela, Afua Cooper, Devon Orton, you know, I've missed name, and Clive and Nene and other people that were not on stage at the moment. If it hadn't been for that community, I'm not sure what would have happened to me at this point. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
love you. Also remember Denise.
Ah, Denise, yes, absolutely. Yes.
I've been in meeting way out and she called up your name like you was our son, our brother. She just loved you.
Thank you. And yeah, honor to her. Yes, completely. So I hand it over back to you, Blakka, and to the rest of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael, for facilitating this wonderful conversation through your creative work. I mean, I get to meet Marva McClean, you know, and I'm very, you know, appreciative of that. You know, I really want to say, Samir Patel, yo, you think large, yo, you think I go on, you see me? Yeah, man, no respect. And all the panelists and all the participants for really being today, this hour, this moment, a wonderful community, you know, collaborating around, conversing around this wonderful work that Michael has created. I see a lot of things in the continuance of this, and I see a competition among people of faith, and I know we look at this in the context of religion and gender and women being called to submit, you know, submission to husband and to all kind of different things. We are called to submit to all kind of elders and leaders in community, in politics. So this, we can have a number of different panels that look at this work from different angles, you know, and it just gets richer and just gets broader and gets more impactful in terms of what artists can do. So I really want to say, there's now 4 minutes left to the time that we've been allotted. If there's anyone who still has any very, very brief burning comment, I would say let's hear it now. No? No?
Becca.
Yes, Nene.
We can't end our reasoning and Madam Patrecia Scarlett is on the line and she not said nothing. No, something not right.
Yeah, that's
something not right.
I agree.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I did say something. I sent something written, but it's okay.
And
listen here, Michael.
Lisa don't say nothing either.
No. You know, Michael, I have said much already between us, but so the wider community can hear. I mean, the first time I saw it, I just thought, what a powerful piece of work. I thought, and I told him it's not just a video, but it's a film that is so powerful and will have wide-ranging impact. So my job behind the scenes is to help him get it out there. So that's what I'm doing. But congratulations, Samir. It's an extraordinary piece of work. So there you go. You're quite welcome. Congratulations all. Nene, are you happy now?
Lisa.
Yes, we can close, we can seal it up properly.
Okay.
I think Lisa should say something as well.
Yes, Lisa.
Yeah, Lisa has been a solid supporter of the work as well, and an integral part of the community in Canada. Unless, you know, she just like to remain behind the scenes, that's fine. Anyone else? We're down to the minute. We just don't want to have everything.
Well, I would like to use the last minute to invite Nene to say the last words as our elder, as a brother with our elder, to just say the last word to bring it all to a, what big church would I call benediction? We just call it Nene, say the final word. Please, Nene.
All right.
Oh my God. Thanks for putting me on the spot there, Blakka. No problem. You know, there's an expression in Africa about the ancestors being everywhere, being present in all parts of our lives. And Michael referred to the statement, "I do not submit," as an actively present assertion, not a past assertion or an aspirational assertion for the future, but grounded in the now. And there's no time like now. Our world is in a particular kind of turmoil, and all justice-loving people, I think, are particularly placed to provide the kind of community and communal love that's necessary to confront, to defy, to deconstruct, to change, and to rebuild. And I feel that this is an important piece of that process. And this gift that this gifted young man has provided. And I call it sage yet, you know, because you don't reach my age yet. When you reach my age, you can turn. When you reach my age, you turn sage. All right? Yeah. This deeply wise young man, this powerful voice, this spirit vessel, this light, this clean sheet of light has provided to us to build on, to work with, to move with, so we can continue to inspire. I just want to thank the Creator for giving us this opportunity and thank our ancestors for girding us up and helping to provide the kind of energy and spiritual food and fortitude that's necessary for this journey, this battle. And we do it with love, as Becca said, and determination, but we're clear-eyed, we're committed, and we're serious. And I want to thank you, Mr. St. George, for your piece in this process, this journey, this vital force, Ngolo, this critical piece to help to advance the liberation of our people and the cause of social justice. So thank you all very much. Go in peace.